The New Zealand government recently introduced legislation to ban anyone under 16 from using social media. They pitched the bill to the public as a straightforward child safety measure. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon and Education Minister Erica Stanford led the charge on this flagship bill, promising to hold massive tech platforms accountable. But almost immediately, the government's own coalition fractured. Both the ACT Party and New Zealand First invoked an agree-to-disagree clause, outright refusing to back the legislation. ACT leader David Seymour called the enforcement mechanism completely unserious. He pointed out that finding a company like Meta, the proposed 10% of its global revenue, would mean trying to collect $33 billion. New Zealand First leader Winston Peters took a different angle. He warned the public that enforcing an age ban would lead to citizens losing basic freedoms through the rollout of a digital ID system. Without the support of its coalition partners, National's child safety bill stalled. The architects of the legislation couldn't convince their own allies that the plan was workable, serious, or safe. That is when the opposition Labour Party stepped in. They supplied the exact number of votes National needed to push the bill through its first reading in Parliament. Before throwing them this lifeline, Labour formally sent Minister Stanford a list of 79 separate concerns. They demanded to know how platforms would prove compliance, how enforcement would actually function, and whether a full privacy impact assessment would be published. Yet Labour handed over their votes to turn the legislative machine on before those 79 questions were answered in public. When the government's own partners walk away from a flawed proposal, the opposition has immense leverage. Labour chose to clear the path for the bill to proceed anyway. To understand why that matters, we have to look past the political speeches and check the paper trail. We need to see the actual infrastructure being planned behind the child safety rhetoric. OIA documents show what landed on Minister Stanford's desk. Internal Affairs advised that a digital card could verify ages online, detailing work to digitize the Kiwi Access Card to support future social media age requirements. The government defends this by stating that users won't be forced into a digital ID because social media platforms will provide alternative methods. But an alternative is an illusion of choice if the government-backed credential becomes the only frictionless way to log in, while every other option is deliberately slow, highly intrusive, or completely unreliable. We only have a fraction of the picture. The OIA request captured 20 official documents mentioning digital ID sent to Minister Stanford. Of those, Internal Affairs released exactly 1 in full and 2 partially. This chart visualizes that exact breakdown of the document release. Out of 20 total files, 17 were withheld. That means exactly 85% of the official advice on this topic is currently hidden from the public. The government is asking families to trust a massive new age verification architecture while actively burying the vast majority of the paperwork detailing how it will actually work. In Te Ao Maori, identity is understood through whakapapa. It is a living, interconnected archive of family and responsibility. It's a relationship, not a barcode. Forcing citizens to prove their identity to an opaque technological gatekeeper just to participate in everyday community life degrades that dignity. It treats people as data subjects first and citizens second. By voting this bill through its first reading, Labour provided procedural legitimacy to that exact architecture of control. Passing a bill with the promise to fix it later is like a doctor beginning a radical medical treatment and promising to read the patient's test results afterward. Labour is acting as the maintenance crew for a surveillance system, polishing the rough edges to offer a more palatable cover for a digital cage. Real scrutiny means demanding the receipts. The public deserves to see Labour's 79 questions and every single official answer the government provided. We need a full public privacy impact assessment and the establishment of an independent Maori data sovereignty group with actual governance power, not just consultation theater. Whether the policy comes from a party wearing a blue tie or a red tie, the baseline must remain the same. We must reject any system that demands you prove who you are before you are allowed to belong.